There's so much, but I think for wedding planners, what I notice, it really comes back to your nervous system. If your nervous system is shot, fried, on fight and flight, it's going to be, you're not going to make decisions from a mindset that you'd love. You really have to understand that the wedding industry demands a level of like the high stakes, the perfectionism, the schedule, all of that at a level that just isn't sustainable if you don't take care of this part of you.
Hey everybody, this is Eddie Babbage, founder, CEO of Timeline Genius, your host here of the Wedding Industry Insider Podcast, back with another great episode. I'm here with Tracey Jazmin, joining from Edmonton, Canada. Tracey is a holistic business strategist. She's passionate about helping people do business on their own terms. Tracey has 6 years of experience as a wedding photographer, 4 years of experience as a brand photographer. She's trained in the arts of neuro-linguistic programming and behavioral psychology, and we are going to go deep into the topic of mindset today. Tracey, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait to chat about mindset.
Absolutely. So what I always like to do at the start of an interview, Tracey, is just invite you as our guest to give a brief sort of overview of your background and how you got to be where you currently are in life and professionally.
Oh my gosh, that's one of those moments where you're like, okay, make this as short as possible, but also give all the detail. I'm going to start from when I moved out at 17. It really did start there for me. That's when my mindset journey started. I needed mindset in order to make it through that time. I didn't have support from either parents. It was really just all on me. And at 17, while you think you know it all, you don't, right? There's a lot that happens. And so I ended up getting a 9-to-5 following that traditional pattern. So my parents did. I didn't know any different. I didn't even know entrepreneurship was a thing. Started down that road, and I ended up wanting to be a financial planner and an accountant somewhere in the finance world. Did it, hated it, went home crying every day in traffic. And I had my boss at the time pull me aside, and he said, I can see you sending out resumes, first of all, on the work computer. So 1, you're fired. And 2, you need to go be a photographer. And I said, thanks for nothing, but you can't make money being a photographer. You just can't. And he said, not with that mindset, you can't. And it's so funny, right? Such a full circle moment now being a coach who supports people in mindset. It's such a cool thing to reflect back upon. So I did it. I'm that woman who challenged me. I will take on any challenge and prove to you that I can do it. And I did it. And so I worked 6 years as a wedding photographer. And then I burnt myself out incredibly. And I decided that this can't be the lifestyle for me. I had to pivot and switch. So then I moved into brand photography. And from there, I started to build up, obviously, a huge portfolio of not just photos, but also amazing business owners. And it was in those brand sessions where I almost felt like their stylist, where I got a little bit too much information. And I would start to hear about all of the trials and tribulations they were going through, the challenges. They wanted to build their business. They had these visions, but they just couldn't seem to get there. I'd give them tips, my wisdom, what I could in that session. And it ended up working really well for so many women. And I thought, I think I'm supposed to go be, a business coach at that time. No idea what that even looked like or meant. And so I did my research and I started to dig in and took a course on neurolinguistic programming, because for me, it is a massive responsibility to have someone trust you with their mind, right? You can totally self-sabotage someone. You can totally push them in the wrong direction. You could manipulate them. There's so many things. So I just wanted to have that training to understand what I was doing and genuinely help the person get to the root cause, not just some surface level mindset, woo-woo, cheer you on wisdom. That's not my vibe. And so after that, I went and got trained in behavioral psychology, as a lot of the clients I was working with ended up having I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it. How do we get through that hump? And so long story short, that's kind of the path I've taken to now become a holistic business strategist, where we look at you and your business, not just the strategy behind business.
I love all of that. There is so much there to dive in on. And I just want to let everybody know I will be upfront and transparent that at this point in my life, 47 years old, I actually did always know I wanted to be an entrepreneur from the time I was young and selling Jolly Ranchers and all that stuff in school. Have been an entrepreneur full time since 2005. And I do believe it all boils down to mindset. I mean, maybe it's an overstatement to say everything is mindset, but I'm going to go ahead and say everything is mindset. I teach that to my kids. So yeah, I do think that, on previous episodes, we may be talking about the blocking and tackling of, like, your financial management system as a wedding planner, or your marketing plan, steps 1, 2, 3. But here, I really do want to explore what is a very powerful facet of business, which is mindset, but it's also admittedly, at least I think, a little bit less concrete and more nebulous just by its nature, but very powerful. I'm going to go back to the beginning, Tracey, and if I overstep here in terms of getting too personal, let me know. But it strikes me that being out on your own at age 17, I can't really imagine that, right? I mean, I went off to school, but like that's not the same as what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah.
tell me what that experience did in terms of shaping you and making you who you are today.
Yeah, it did a lot. I became a high achiever. I grew up with the parents who were get the grades, get the grades, get the grades. And so that's who I obviously ended up becoming. And then from there, it made me fiercely independent. I learned that I actually didn't need much help from many people, that I could really do so much on my own. And so everything, though, here is a double edged sword. Right? When I met my now husband, he cut my grass for the very first time, and I just about had a mental breakdown because I didn't need him to help me cut my grass.
Right.
Right? So it's got, two sides of it, but growing up at 17, moving out, I didn't have family support on either side. And so it was really up to me to figure out how to make money, to get that job, to grow my career, to get where I wanted to go back to school if I wanted to. I was funding all of that. And I very, very, very quickly learned that I was the one who actually held the remote control for that, which was very empowering. And so I started actually with the book, The Secret, which I'm sure we've all heard
Sure.
about, all about law of attraction. That was my entry point into mindset. And I started to realize, like, okay, if I could just get this part figured out, like, if Albert Einstein's talking about it and all of these people on a grand quantum physics level is talking about this, there's got to be something more here. What am I missing? And so I really started to dive in from that side. And then for me personally, it felt a little bit too fluffy, kind of how you were mentioning, like it's airy fairy, sometimes right
Yes.
up in the sky. So I went down the road of the scientific background of neuroscience and understanding how a brain works and why my brain works the way it does, and how I could rewire it subconsciously to let go of a lot of the stories that I had from being 17 and moving out.
Tracey, let's just go ahead and open the floor. And I know this is almost, if I'm being too general here, then you can let me know and I can kind of home in a little bit more, narrow it in a little bit more. But what have you learned? What are some of your key learnings in the area of mindset, insofar as it relates to being a more effective business owner?
The greatest thing I have learned is that my mindset is the foundation for the level of success that I achieve. It determines pretty much everything. Like you said, we're not going to say it's everything, but it is.
Yeah.
It is the foundation. I think of my business like building a house. My mindset is like, or think about mindset like building a house, and the foundation is mindset. If you don't have that, if there's cracks in it, it's going to be really hard to build a house. It's going to be hard to build a bigger house, a taller house, when you want to keep going as that foundation is strong enough. And I think a lot of my clients also too, mindset is ongoing and is consistently evolving. You are never going to arrive and be done, no matter, like, unless you stop setting a goal, unless you become complacent and comfortable, which anyone in my world is a high achieving, fiercely independent woman. So that's just not on the radar. Mindset is consistently evolving. And I have to understand that every time I set a goal, I'm going to come up against resistance and friction. And that's just a part of this. Fear is a part of this. All of that part's just weaved into this whole experience of entrepreneurship. So those are the two greatest things. And really knowing that I have the control. The remote control for my life is in my hand. It is completely up to me and on me, which again, terrifying, but also so empowering.
Mm. Love that. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the book The Secret. There's a guy named John Assaraf who actually contributed. Have you heard of him before?
No.
Contributed to the book, and he's a coach. My wife and I invested in a course he had called Winning the Inner Game of Money. The title in and of itself is profound, because he's like, it's an inner game. We think it's all out here, but it's all in here. Like, the outer world will eventually come into alignment with what's going on in here. And he has these things. I'm just thinking about what you're talking about. These things called, he calls them exercises. Like you go to the gym to exercise. He's like, and they're just these like recordings. I listen to those like religiously, and what it's doing, Tracey. And I feel like if we're doing things and we're trying, that beautiful, and I'm coming back to this question of, I know the right thing to do, but why am I not doing it? Because you're operating at this level of the action, but there's all this other stuff. I feel like our brains, our minds, we have these tape loops, right? That have been acquired since the time we were kids, everything we saw and heard, and it's just playing, and we're not even aware of this stream of thoughts that's happening in our minds. And until you change that tape loop, you're not gonna like get sustained. Like, can you? I don't know if this.
Yeah.
I see you shaking your head. It
I'm
sounds
like, yes, yes, yes. This is, yeah.
like
I
your
teach this to all my clients. So when you have that new year, new me, right? Everyone tries to shift the habit. But what's not shifting is their self identity, their beliefs, and their subconscious mind on a deeper level. They still don't associate themselves as that person, as that version of themselves, right?
yeah,
So money
yeah,
is an inside game, right?
yes,
You have to be able to see that you're the person who can have that, hold that, keep that, save that, invest that, etc. But if
yes,
you're in the energy like me when I first started, I'm a small town girl. I'm from a small town. There's no way I'm going to be able to do X. Well,
yes,
that's just a story, a tape loop that I made up
yep,
because nobody that I knew ever made six figures, let alone anything more than that. So how was I going to be, right? Like I always considered myself a product of my environment, but when I really started to shift that, like I actually am not a product of my environment. I get to choose,
yes,
right? And so when I really understood that there was so much more choice for me in life, those
mm,
mindset loops really started to shift, but I had to shift them. And so I teach this to every single one of my clients. They all get what is called their envisioned success statement. And we do it together through hypnosis. And then from there, I will write out for them a future paced story of their life. They have to record it and they have to listen to that every single morning, right when they wake up, because that's when your subconscious mind is very open.
yep.
And you're not in that like brainwave of working yet. And it starts to rewire your beautiful mind.
You know what's funny, Tracey? As we're talking, first of all, this is just like such a passion topic for me. Um, but I'm almost like a little self conscious because I know that for some people, hypnosis, like affirmations, but it makes me think of Jen Sincero. I don't know if you've heard of her. She wrote a great book. It's called You're a Badass at Making Money.
She's the very first book I read before I stepped into becoming a business strategist.
Are you serious?
I
Which
am
one?
serious.
Or was it You're a Badass or You're a Badass at Making Money? Which
It was You're a Badass. And then I
Yeah,
read the
that's
second.
great too. I read that too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's fantastic. Well, there's this one part of her. You check out You're a Badass at Making Money. You'll dig it for
I've
sure.
read it too. I've read it
Oh,
too.
you read that one too?
It was just my second one after the
Yeah,
first
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm telling you, we're like totally same wavelength here. But
Yeah.
anyway, there's a point in the book you may recall where her coach, she's like, you need to put up, this is the marketing page you need to do. And Jen had been, I think, in a rock band or something. And she's like, if my friends see me on the internet posturing like, I'm a coach or what, they're gonna think I'm not cool. And the coach is like, do you want to be cool or do you want to build wealth? like what do you want to do? Because like, and I think about it in that same way when we're talking about these topics, and it's like, wait, is that cool? But like, this is the stuff I do believe that really gets it done.
Yeah.
Your metaphor. I remember Brian Tracy. He said this analogy. He's like, you can almost think about these beliefs as books that you can go into a library and like take off a shelf. For most of us, we acquired them without really reasoning our way into it. We're 5, 6, 7, whatever, and information's coming in. But at a certain point, we can take ownership and say, wait, is this a belief that I want? And I feel like that idea that we have these invisible beliefs that are, in many cases, severely limiting, just like walking around in a straitjacket, like what we're able to accomplish. But the nature of them, the reason why they're so powerful is we don't even necessarily know that they're there. Like, do you
Hmm.
do work with your clients to try to like
Oh, yeah.
educate these, like, and how does that process work for you, like uncovering self-limiting?
Yeah, for me, I find it actually quite easy. I'm very very particular in the questions that I'm asking them. So with neurolinguistic programming, right? Neural of the mind programming, right? The programming. And then linguistics is all about language.
Right.
So the language that someone speaks out loud, I can hear in their words exactly, almost with like very quickly, what the limitation is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And just by them continuing to speak. And so tell me more about that. And what does that feel like? What does that look like? And as they continue to speak, I can pull over them. It sounds like this is happening for you. And they're just like, oh my God, that's exactly it. And it's just about listening to language, because the language that is up in here is going to come out of your mouth eventually.
Right.
If you get that person talking enough, right? If you just have a genuine conversation with them. But if they're trying to be strategic and calculated, it won't come out. And so I share with my clients, like, I need you to be vulnerable. And I know that that takes a lot of courage. But if you aren't, I can't get to the root cause of what's really going on for you.
I love
And
that.
yeah.
And tell me more here. And I'm doing this as a conduit for you to pass information through me to our audience here. I am hook, line, sinker sold on the notion of self-limiting beliefs and how powerful they are and how important it is to like dig them up. But like, tell me from your vantage point, like, yeah, what role does that play? Like, at what point in your code is that something that you're always going to do, or is it something that like you do when you realize there's a red flag? Like, what's your sort of process related to uncovering and changing self-limiting beliefs?
Yeah, when they come up. So I kind of see it like a bit of a staircase. So I think in business, we have first, we're excited. We're just excited to start the business, usually a little bit of fear happening there, but we're really on strategy. We got to get things out, get things there. And then that's when, boom, you're hit with a mindset. Right. And so then that's kind of like that staircase where it's like going up, right? The rise.
Right.
My husband would be like, that's the run and the rise. And he would give me
Right.
all the calculations. But
Right.
you hit a mindset wall. And you have to overcome that to then take the next action steps. And then you hit mindset chunk again. And then you hit the strategy. So for me, it's always going at the same pace, like up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, throughout the entire process. For some clients, it is heavier. There is more for them to work through upfront. But the thing that's funny is a lot of my clients are very highly intellectual.
Yeah.
So they will intellectualize their mindset rather than implement and work on and actually take the action and practicing it. They'll just, I know. And then I always tell them knowledge without action is there, that it doesn't have power.
Right.
You need to take action on those things. And so my process, obviously everyone will fill out an in-depth questionnaire and they're usually pretty aware of what's going on for them. But they might not completely diagnose it correctly. So they might say like, I'm really struggling with burnout. I need to get better at my time. And I'm like, okay, sure. But it's probably something deeper than that. And so I think a lot of people will just associate that it's a surface level thing. And I am like, no, we're going all the way in. And then that's what happens in my coaching is we don't just do the surface level fixes or time management. Yeah, let's look at your calendar because I know it's never about that. And that's why I say, tell me more. What actually happens? What thoughts go through your head? When this happens, what is that? What, you know what I mean? What are the dominoes? Because I need to understand what your thought process is so that I can pinpoint exactly what's going on for you and not give you some surface level tool that's not even going to help you.
Yeah, that's fire, Tracey. Yeah, I think that you're literally just like saying things like as I think it's coming out of your mouth, like this notion. Because I was just going to say that's the challenge for all of us, at least for me.
Yeah.
It seems like it's here. Like that's the like there's a T. Harv Eker, and for anybody listening, there's a book like Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. It's a little old, but you read that?
Great book.
I love that book. That book is fantastic, and he talks about it. He's like, something comes out of the printer and there's a typo. So you sit there, you get your white out and you change the letter and you fix the typo. And then you hit print again and it comes out. And you're like, damn it, there's that typo again. Let me put the white out. He's like, they're not going to fix it you've got to fix the root. Like the roots of the tree that are under the soil are the thing that is like giving rise to the plant. But I think some of the challenge, Tracey, is in business, and it doesn't matter if you're a wedding planner or a tech entrepreneur or anything else, when things come up, it seems like it's an outside thing. It seems like, well, I just didn't get that task done, but how do you kind of work with people? Can you even, without giving out names, obviously, or, breaking any confidentiality, can you give like an example of a situation where like a creative professional or wedding professional like hit that sort of staircase, like, obstacle, and how you were able to kind of turn what seemed like just a business challenge and map how you were able to map that back onto like an inner sort of growth opportunity.
Yeah, I find it quite easy again, right? The more they talk, the more it's illuminated. It's like here, 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 right? When we just don't hear it because we're so in our own mind. So I have worked with a wedding planner and almost consistently always burnt out. Like
Yeah.
just always, right? I mean, it is, the reality of the high stakes, high pressure perfectionism career.
Yep.
And so she was bound and bent and so determined. I just like, there's got to be a better way. And so we really started to come back, like, what is the end goal? So I really like to think of it, everything visually, once being a photographer, that, you're here and you want to go here. So what is B? Like, where do you want to go? What is that? And for her, it was always, I want to feel peace. I want to feel peace so bad, but still thriving, successful, busy, steady, like all of that energy is who she is. But she said, I really want to feel peace in all of it. And so for her, it wasn't about time management. It wasn't about her calendar. Like those were parts of it, but those were like the sprinkles on top of the cake. We had to like look at the cake, what was going on for her. And so she had, grown up with parents who weren't from here. She immigrated. There's so much other stuff for her, deep, deep, deeply rooted, that she had to actually look at. And she didn't want to. Nobody wants to look at that stuff because it's hard, it's heavy, it's emotional, and I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
Right? I've got a
Yeah.
business to upkeep. I don't have time to look at this stuff. It doesn't matter. Unfortunately, it does matter. And now she's gone on to, she told me, she said, I don't actually want to work the summer season in Canada. I don't want to do that. I want to work differently. I want to be going on destination weddings. I want to be, doing weddings in Europe or wherever else, right? And since looking at all of those pieces that she didn't want to look at, she's been able to manifest weddings over like $250,000. She's been able to do massive weddings in Europe. She's being flown here. She's doing destination weddings there. And it, like her and I always talk, it always came back to really uncovering all of those threads, all of those little tiny things that are below the surface, all of the roots that she wasn't maybe aware of or like knew was there, but like didn't really look at deep enough. That's like when she really looked at those, that's what was able to help her take different action, right? Because again, your actions are all coming back to your self-perception. She perceived herself as too much or maybe not good enough or all of
Yes.
those stories, right? And so when she cleared those up and cleaned up that, perception she had of herself, well, her actions were going to be completely different. When her actions are different, obviously her reality is different. Her energy is different. You can feel the difference of her showing up online, her Instagram, her marketing. She's even more bold in how she's sharing and putting herself out there. Like it is so cool to see.
That is beautiful, Tracey. It's funny. As we were getting on, I just like was open book. I told you my wife is out of town. I'm solo parenting. I've got two
Yeah,
kids, age 7 and 11. And I think one observation I had, and I suspect that folks that have kids, this will resonate with them, is that like when you see kids growing up, you see human nature laid bare without all the scaffolding and protective and defense mechanisms that as adults and subterfuge, like kids are just like, here I am. And you can just see, you know, human nature laid bare. And my oldest plays chess. And it's a beautiful game and all that. But for me, the thing that really just drew us into the game is that it became this vehicle for working on mindset.
very
He showed up
cool.
to his first tournament at age 8. He was great. He was a really good player, but he sat down. He had 25 minutes. You get like a clock. He had 25
Yeah.
minutes on his clock, 25 minutes on his opponent's clock. He played his whole game and only used like 20 seconds of his clock because he was
Wow.
so nervous, because the things that were happening were just like in his mind. It was just like, well, wait, what if I lose? What if I win? Like, all of these things. And I'm like, wow, like the skill piece of this is like meaningful. If you don't have the skill, like that's going to cap you as well, right?
Yep.
But there's this other just huge thing that requires so much. Like, do you believe that you can win the game? Are you focused on winning or losing? Or are you just focused on staying at peace and making the best move you get? Just the mindset piece of it. And it just really has served, like, again, it's just as relevant for us as it is for, a kid at a chess tournament. What if you had to say, Tracey, if you had to give, because not everybody listening to us, I mean, it sounds like that everybody should start hiring,
Yeah.
working with, like, let's just face it, not everybody will. If you could
Yeah.
give people um, one, and I'm going to kind of go down the list here, but your number one thing to do if they're listening this and they're like, I'm sold. I do realize like mindset is important. What should people do with this information? Again, we're going to get to them hiring you, but assuming they're just on their own, they're overwhelmed and they're like, I think this is rooted in my mind. What can they do about that?
Yeah, I think if you're at that point, you're probably already paying attention. Awareness is going to be the very first step in anything related to mindset shifting and changing. Start
Hmm.
to notice your patterns, right? When you get faced with a challenge, what pattern comes up? What do? Do you deflect, defer? Do you procrastinate? Do you try to get it perfect? When you have to pay an unexpected bill, what comes up? When a client pushes the scope and you don't charge for that accordingly, what comes up? Like really noticing those moments of resistance and what thoughts come up for you. Write them down. Write them down on a piece of paper, and you are going to be able to reflect upon that and see, interesting. So I teach this tool to every single one of my clients. It's called Diffusion. It's a psychology related tool. And it's really about, I notice I'm having the thought that. So it's this phrase. And the whole point of this is to understand that you are the thinker of the thought, but you're not the thought. Whereas
Hmm.
we Velcro ourselves to every single thought that our brain presents, believe it all as truth. And then we wonder why our life isn't different. It's because we're not challenging the thoughts that are coming up. You're just automatically believing them. But if you were not to believe them, wondering, what's actually going on here, and you get more curious about these thoughts, that's going to be your very first step. And so write down the thought. And you can practice this tool if you want to at home, but you're going to preface all of them out loud to yourself. It doesn't have to be with anybody. I notice I'm having the thought that, insert the thought.
Hmm.
And see what comes up when you start to say it differently. And the whole goal here is to help you separate yourself and see, like, my brain is presenting the thought. I'm not the thought. My brain's presenting a feeling. I don't need to like live in that feeling. I notice
Hmm.
I'm feeling nervous to show up on Eddie's podcast. Oh, okay. Well, Get curious about it. Why? Where is that coming from? Is that actually true? Well, I actually have done podcasts many times before, so I should feel right. Like you can talk yourself through it in such a different, beautiful level instead of just succumbing to the thought or the feeling.
I love that more than I can express, Tracey. Do you meditate by chance?
I actually don't. Meditation actually for me doesn't work very well.
Interesting. Well, I am a book junkie, have been for many decades, and probably in no small statement, the book that changed my life the most is one called it's Meditation, an 8-point program by Eknath Easwaran. And basically just really coming to know that like we take for granted that like when our mind is thinking something, we Velcro to it. Exactly what you just said. Like exactly. But learning to work and in spiritual terms, detach, right? From
Exactly.
that thought, like detach and realize I am the witness and
Yes.
my thoughts are not me. Like I am the awareness that is holding these, and I can
Mm-hmm.
put my awareness on the sounds happening on the street right now, on a thought, but like that detachment is just sacred and powerful when you, because otherwise you're just getting buffeted about and sucked out into the sea of your
Exactly.
thoughts, and you can't
Yeah.
change something if you're not even aware of like what it is that's happening.
Yeah, exactly. For me, the game changer for that, again, I read this when I was, I feel like knee high to a grasshopper at 17, is a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
Oh God.
Best book on the planet.
Oh my God. I was going
Yeah,
to ask you, I was literally going to ask you, Michael Singer. Oh
best
my
book.
God. My wife says,
Best
she's
book.
like, I live with Eddie and Michael Singer. Like,
Yeah,
absolutely, positively, game changer. Like
game
his
changer of a book.
podcast, everything that man says.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Tracey, we're
yeah,
one. Like,
yeah.
I
That
don't
was it for
act like
me.
this on the podcast, but I am. That book is like the only reason I said meditation 8-point program is because I read that in 2000. I was kind of like you. Like I studied math in undergrad. I was at Harvard Law School, but the way law school works, you can take the exam at the end of the semester. So I'm just reading like quantum mechanics and like
Yep.
the Dhammapada and the Bhagavad Gita and all of this stuff, and realizing that like Western science and Eastern philosophy, like they merge if you read like the Tao of Physics.
Yes.
I'm just sitting there and I go down this rabbit hole of like meditating and all these things that a kid growing up in Kentucky never even hears about, but absolutely more recently. I think I first read the Surrender Experiment, Michael Singer's Surrender Experiment, which is also amazing. Have you read that?
I haven't read that one. No.
Love it. It's amazing. And then I came, but he actually wrote The Untethered Soul first. But anyway, yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, when you understand that,
yes,
when you understand that, then I feel like, again, even my coach I'll come up against mindset resistance, and she'll share with me, we figure out the pattern, and I'm aware of it. And so it's not 2 calls after that, 2 weeks after that. And she's like, how did that shift so fast for you? And I said, because I live a life where I understand that I'm having a human experience, but I'm a soul having it. And so I don't need to attach to that anymore. I can just let it go. Like I can just stop the pattern, which is just, something, again, I accredit to that book, understanding I don't need to Velcro onto every single thing my mind says. It's just my mind.
Absolutely so beautiful. Have you listened to any of his podcasts on YouTube?
No, I haven't.
I'm gonna send you some. You will like. I mean, game changing, life changing, like just profound. And I'm like, this is like literally. I'm like, this is what this is about. Like letting go of my stuff every day. Like from the time I open my eyes, letting go of these blockages that are inside, all of these negative experiences and samskaras, as they're termed. Anyway, I mean, it's interesting. We go down the path of spirituality. I obviously don't want to alienate anybody, but for me, like these things are inextricably connected, right?
Oh, they are.
Like it's hard to just be like, we're just going to do business tactics without realizing how that ripples up and down the whole stack.
Yeah. I mean, I've given my clients strategy after strategy after strategy to implement. It does not matter if their mindset is not where it needs to be, that they believe in themselves, they know they can do it, whatever it is, whatever the thing is, they don't take the action or they don't do it well, right? They do it based on the perception that they have of themselves and the stories that they hold. But if they held a different story, they'd act differently. It's just the way it works. Like it's just the way a brain functions. Yes. And so when you can understand that, again, from like maybe a more grounded side of things, like neuroscience for me, again, going through The Secret and all of that, quantum physics, it was so high in the sky for me. It was really hard to grasp. I needed science. And so when I understood the neuroscience of it's actually just how my brain works, well, now I can manipulate it. Like now I can work with that. Now I can understand that. And so I can give my clients all the strategy in the books and they still don't do it because they don't have the mindset in check.
As a wedding planner, you know how important it is to create detailed wedding day timelines for your events. But creating your timelines can be a tedious and time-consuming job. Until now. Because Timeline Genius lets you create beautiful, detailed wedding day timelines with ease. And it keeps everything you need on the wedding day in one central place. Here's how it works. First, Timeline Genius saves all your clients, vendors, and venues in your Rolodex, so you don't lose time looking for their information. And when you're ready to create a new timeline, you simply enter the key information for your wedding. Click a button, and voila! Timeline Genius magically gives you a customized timeline for your event, where all the details are laid out and the times are calculated for you. From there, you can easily edit your timeline by adding or deleting items, inserting images, changing font styles, and customizing everything to your liking. You can also instantly shift the times for as many items as you want. And when it comes to your clients and vendors, Timeline Genius lets you give them the highest level of service. You can send them tailored timelines, showing only the items they're involved in. And you can collaborate by inviting them to a mobile-friendly, web-based version of the timeline. You can even set text message reminders to automatically go out on the wedding day. And once you've completed your perfect timeline, you can download it or email it out as a beautifully styled PDF. And that's Timeline Genius, a smart software that will help take your wedding planning to the next level. Start your free trial today.
And we're gonna go a little bit further because I love this thing that you said. You said, I know what I need to do, but I'm not doing it. I remember one time I was at Duke and my roommate, brilliant guy, super successful, like partner at a law firm now. but he would just like sleep through classes, right? Like, and we both were just like, I remember just having this like intense feeling and like, sometimes you're moving through your day and you're like, wait, I just had an epiphany. I just saw something penetrating. And I had this insight. I was like, wait a minute. Both of us know what to do in life. We know we're supposed to go to the gym 4 times a week. We know what exercises. We know we're supposed to show up to class. We know we're supposed to do our homework. If we could just get ourselves to do it, we'd be amazing. And then this little weird hypothetical came to mind. It's like, what if there was like a genie that we would just give authorization right now and just say, you can hit me with a bat if I don't do anything, that here's the list of things that I say I should do. We would hate that genie all semester long, but at the end of the semester, we would just be like, you're my best friend. You just got me like straight A's, whatever. So out of this grew this thing called EYG, Elevate Your Game, where we decided each of us would get a cup and we would put penalties. We mapped out all the things we were supposed to do. And we said, if I'm late to class, that's $10. If I miss a work, which was all the money in the world back in 19.
Absolutely.
Whatever. And we'd stick the money in each other's cups and you never told how much you had put in. And at the end of the semester, we would both, open our cups and go have dinner. It turned out there was barely any difference because we both made the same, amount of penalties.
Yeah.
He went on to be super, like his grades, I was already a little more disciplined, truth be told. It was hugely helpful. And all the way through, even now, we'll still do that. Hey, I'm going to have to do, we call it EYG, Elevate Your Game. The reason I mention all of this is because I think that idea and that frustration point that your clients have voiced, I think we do know the right things to do.
Absolutely. All of us do.
The question is like, I know this is like a big question. And
I know where you're going for sure.
What can I do, anybody that's listening, to get myself to do the things I know I need to do?
Mm-hmm. I think it comes back to, again, understanding why you're not doing it in the first place. And for a lot of us, we say, procrastination or this or that. Again, get aware of your thought. What comes up when you think, okay, so posting on Instagram, you haven't posted in 2 weeks. Right. What thoughts are coming up? Well, people are going to think this or that or da-da-da. So what's really coming up is you have a fear of being rejected. You have a fear of what other people think. Oh, okay. Well, now you can work on that. Great. Easy. Why do you care so much about what other people think? Well, because growing up, maybe XYZ happened or something else has happened in the past, or I posted once before and someone said something, whatever it is. Then you can work on that. And then you've removed the thing and now you can move. Right. So for a lot of us, there's something standing in that way.
And how do I work on it? Let's say I peel the onion back. I catch myself. First, I'm at that meta level where I'm observing my thoughts. It's used like that. I get that detachment and I catch like, okay, this is what my mind is serving up. Okay, I don't like that self-limiting belief or narrative and I want to change it. How do I change it?
We don't change it. We let it exist. This is something that everybody has been taught in mindset, and it is such a load of
Wow, Tracey. I thought you were going to tell me write out the counter sort of affirmation.
I might.
Okay.
I might, but it's not. Okay. I think that we think, like, I'll give you an example. Okay, Eddie, don't think about a pink elephant.
You're going to think, you can't tell the brain not to think about it. The subconscious is going to think the thing. Saying not, it doesn't hear the not. 100%.
Exactly. So instead of trying to change the thought, which is really, really hard for a brain, because like, change it, don't think about it. Well, all I'm doing is like overthinking about it, is to decide, do I want to attach to this story? No? Yes? Well, what's a new story? So instead of trying to like get rid of it or change it or exit out or make it not exist anymore, it can exist. It's safe for my brain to have that side of me. It's just my fear trying to protect me. That's all your brain is here to do. It is not here to help you achieve your goals and your dreams and your greatest visions. It's only here to protect you. Right? And so it's like, oh, that's just my brain trying to protect me. Cool. And I actually want to believe this story. I actually want to attach and I want to Velcro myself to a different story of maybe nobody cares at all when I show up on Instagram and post a story after 2 weeks.
Yes.
Right? You can choose that story again. And this is where I come back to my analogy that like I hold the remote control for life. I get to choose the meaning that I associate and attach to every single thing that happens to me, because nothing is anything, right? Nothing is anything. Everything is assigned a meaning based on what we have experienced in life. So you have had this fear of being judged by others potentially. So now your brain is associating, when I show up on Instagram, I'm going to be judged by others again. And you can decide, you know what? I don't want to believe that story. The story I want to believe is when I show up on Instagram, literally nothing's going to happen. Nothing. That's the new meaning I'm going to assign to this.
Yes. Very, very cool. And
Yeah.
amen, everything you're saying. You know, it's funny, in the John Assaraf coaching program, he and all of these folks are saying the same thing in different and slightly nuanced, with different nuances, but essentially the same thing. But he's like, first, there's this introspective step of figuring out what your current story is, your professional
patterns.
story. You've got one, right? Like, you've got a self-concept, that is driving. We all have it. And many of us, it's easy to kind of go through life with, as busy as we are, and to
just
not
who I am.
Yeah, it's just who I am. Like, you don't even think about it. It's like a fish. You're like, hey, do you see the water? And like, what are you talking about? It's always there. And so it's invisible to me. And he's like, once you kind of realize the story that you've been, kind of that has arisen, your self-concept from, what your parents showed you in your school and your teachers, all of the things you learned and all of this. Now start identifying the parts of that narrative or self-concept that are serving you. Because unless it's something like, I am 5'9" or whatever, it's not a fact, right?
Exactly.
Like, these things are, like you just said, nothing is nothing, right? Nothing is anything. Like, it's all just like this subjective sort of cloud. And he's like, then you can start to reshape it and like literally write out a script, almost like if somebody was like, hey, Eddie, you're going to be in a movie and you are playing, a computer scientist, like the way you would go in and you would be like, I am now becoming so-and-so.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
write out who that so-and-so is that you need to be. And did you by chance read Will Smith's memoir called Will?
Nope.
Fascinating read. Set aside the craziness he pulled at the Oscars. We're all flawed. Fascinating. One of the best autobiographies I've read. There's a point in there where he talks about actors and he's like, you can get caught up in that. But when you're an actor, you realize viscerally that this whole who I am identity is completely malleable. And if you're a good actor, it is your job. You can shift into totally different identities and then even kind of lose track of your original. He's like, I got lost. I thought I was actually in love with Stockard Channing. Like, it's fascinating. But like, I see you shaking your head. Like, I'm shaking my head when you're talking and vice versa. Like, what's going on in your mind as you kind of think about this?
It's just that self-perception, right? You get to choose the identity. You have the remote control. Like I said, with all my clients, I give them that envisioned success statement. They get to choose who they want to step into being and becoming, right? And we've all heard this probably across the internet. Act as if. Yeah. Act as if you're them. And again, the reason I don't meditate, that comes back to that, was because I want to practice it actively every day. So I will decide an identity for myself that I want to become, my X, my B, my next level. And when I face resistance, when I face a challenge, I'm like, okay, well, how would she show up?
We're going to talk about this meditation thing.
And she would just do it. Anyway. Right? And so what would millionaire Tracey do?
Right.
Well, she would blank, she would X. And so then I just do it, right? Obviously a decision has to have action followed through, or it's not a decision. It's just a fun thought or a plan. But instead of meditating, for me, I really focus on embodying who I want to be, like that next version of me right now, because that's how I'm going to become it and be it, right? I just decide that I'm her already right now in this moment, instead of a lot of people go, when I do this, then I'll be that, then I'll have that. Yes. But it is always got to start with being an embodiment, your identity, your self-perception first. Always.
It's so powerful. And I think one of the fascinating things, Tracey, is just, again, how unintuitive the real sort of nature of what's going on is. How what meets the eye is the stuff at the top level, the tree itself. We're not seeing those roots. It's what's my task list today? And did I get those tasks done? Okay, that didn't get done. And you think, well, this happened because I didn't get this done, or this happened. Like, really, it's just
so much deeper than that.
Yeah, it's deeper. So if you could give a second, I know we're meandering a little and I'm watching the time in this interview fly. Like, I'm just having a ball here, caught up in everything that we're saying. If there were another tip that you could give people, knowing that you're talking to a very busy community of folks that are running a business while also doing one of the most stressful jobs
Yeah,
in the world, being a wedding planner, no do-overs.
absolutely
Um,
not.
what else comes to your mind as something that you could share with them to help them um, level up in terms of mindset?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. But I think for wedding planners, what I notice, it really comes back to your nervous system. If your nervous system is shot, fried, on fight and flight, it's going to be, you're not going to make decisions from a mindset that you'd love. You really have to understand that the wedding industry demands a level of like the high stakes, the perfectionism, the schedule, all of that at a level that just isn't sustainable if you don't take care of this part of you.
I love that. Tell me more, Tracey. Like taking, and I agree with you. You know, there was a time, I've said this on past episodes, where I was like hard charging, you know, badge of honor. I only slept 3 hours last night. And then you hear that people like Jeff Bezos, he's like, I get 8 hours every night because I make decisions, and the quality of my decisions, it's what's going to determine how effective and successful I am. And I
Yes.
don't make decisions as well when I'm sleepy. And I've come to learn the same thing. I'm not going to feel abundant and positive and energetic and saying the right things at the right time. Like, how does all of this self-care kind of tie into what you're saying and tie back to mindset?
Yeah. I mean, again, without like, you're the greatest asset of your company.
Yeah.
You have to take care of the greatest asset of your company, or else you're not going to have a company. And so when you say self-care, I'm not talking bubble baths and
Right.
reading your book. And like, that's not what I'm talking about. I am
Right.
talking about looking at the stories that limit you and hold you back from the potential that you think you can and can't have.
Yeah.
Right. You probably have a story that this is all nice and wonderful, Tracey, but I have 2 kids and I'm running a blank business and it requires me to do X and X and X and X and X. Guess what? That's a story.
Yeah. 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 No, it's funny, and it's so easy. You know, my wife and I, she's an entrepreneur as well. So we kind of, and it's like, that's a story that she grapples with. You know, it's like, I'm so busy. Like, you can step into this kind of like victim, sort of overwhelmed mindset. And as soon as you're doing that, it's comfortable. And I like what you said. It's like, it's protective, right? It's
Yeah.
protecting you. But it also immediately you're ceding power and self-control to, you know, the powers that be, to like the world that, you know, you're not in the
Yeah.
driver's.
All of your beliefs are a self-fulfilling prophecy. Your brain has what's called the confirmation bias, and it will never, ever, ever let you be wrong.
Yeah.
So whatever you think, Henry Ford, right? Whatever you think, you are right.
Yeah.
If you think it's hard and I can't do it because I have 2 kids and I'm so busy and XYZ, you're right. You are going to manifest that reality, which how cool to see that you can also manifest the exact opposite if you just change the story. Just change the channel. Just
I
change the
love
channel. Just change the story.
Tracey, I'm going to push here because I totally buy into what you're saying. I want to preempt any sort of resistance here to the notion. Let me just throw out an absurd case, and then you speak and kind of fold this into the point that you just made, because I fundamentally agree with Henry Ford's statement. Somebody says, well, Tracey, okay, if it's just that simple, then I'm going to tell myself in my brain, and let's say I can really believe it, that I'm going to walk out my door today and like, you know, I'm going to walk into $1 billion. Or I can just, you know, I think this is something that like when people start thinking manifestation and, you know, I know
Yeah.
we're going woo woo here, but like, okay, well, you know, I know that's silly because I'm just going to sit on my bed and think and have this self-belief that $1 billion I'm going to sell my company for $1 billion, but I'm not even going to do any work. Like, that's not what we're talking about here. But I want to hear in your own words how you kind of reconcile what you just said with those sorts of, you know.
Yeah. At that point, the person doesn't actually believe that. Right. And your nervous system knows it's going to call you out on that. Right. So again, if you genuinely believed it, you wouldn't be defensive and fighting us talking about this.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're saying, oh, that must be nice, I'm going to go blank. I'm just going to go sit down on my bed and believe it. I'm just going to go think about it and it's just going to happen. You've got to decide that you're the person who can actually have that. Right. But
Yeah.
your nervous system is always the thing that keeps the score.
Yeah.
right? Whether you can hold it, have it, become it, be it, whatever it is, your nervous system always goes first and then your mindset is second. Those are the
I
two
don't,
very most important things.
I love that. And I've never really exactly sat down and tried to kind of parse these things. I believe it. And again, I can take it back to my kid going and playing chess. Like, if he believes he's going to win a game, does that mean he's going to beat Magnus Carlsen, the greatest chess player that's ever lived? Absolutely not. Statistically, they can play 1,000 times. I don't care what he believes, because if I believe I'm going to win a one-on-one basketball game against LeBron James and LeBron is playing his hardest and he believes too that he's going to win, I'm not going to win. Like, I look, and maybe the answer is I don't really believe it, but also
that's where strategy
LeBron
and
James.
skill comes in, right? Exactly.
It is a skill. Like, people
Yes.
study chess for years. You can't just say, I believe I'm a world-class mathematician, and then go do like elite math. No, there's years of training. Now, that having been said, that belief component is so huge.
Mm-hmm.
It's so profound. So we're not saying, if I believe I can sprout golden wings and fly up into space and touch Mars, that that's going to happen, but rather that there is this tremendously important component that will either boost you or completely restrict you. If you don't, I mean, I tell my kids that all the time. He's like, well, I'm like, if you don't think you can do it, then you're not going to do it. Like, you're already beat before you even got started, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that we don't even understand what believing actually means. Believing is about an inner knowing inside your entire body. Again, this is a nervous system knowing, not an up here thing. Not an up here thing. It's not an intellectual game, right? It's an in my body. I know that this is so possible for me. Like, you couldn't tell me that I can't do it. That's how much I believe in it. And a way that I love with my clients is testing their beliefs is I will push them. And I'm like, Eddie, I don't even know why you're even thinking about trying that. That is so silly. You're not good enough. Like, I don't even know why you ever thought that could be possible for you. And if they start to get fired up and triggered by it, then we know that they actually don't believe in themselves.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. But if someone were to say to me, like, Tracey, you suck as a coach. Like, I don't even know why you do this. I'm like, have we talked? Do you know who like what? I'm like, absolutely. Like, it just doesn't faze me.
So
It doesn't hit.
Right. Yeah. As Michael Singer says, it's not going to hit your stuff.
It just doesn't hit my stuff. Because I believe it so fiercely. Like, you couldn't faze me on that one.
Yeah.
That's what believing is.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And I love what you're saying, Tracey, because it's not a head game. It's not you can say words all day long. It's how do you, like, it's a feeling, like you're saying, the nervousness. I get that. Like, you know something, like, it's in there. Like,
and nobody's going to knock you off that pedestal.
Like, it's just like, it is what it is. I don't care if everybody on the planet right now tells me that I don't know how to do algebra. Like, okay, like, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, you're all wrong. Like, all 8 billion of you are just wrong. Like so.
Yeah. So
really,
like, that's the depth of the belief that it needs to be for yourself, of like, I can make $1 million. I can get that wedding. Yes. I can get the $500,000. I can. And you might not get it the next time you get a booking, but like, you're so hyper focused on it that it can't not happen eventually, because look how deep that belief is for you. So yeah, your actions are going to follow suit.
That's it. And there's this feedback, there's this, because they're both inextricably connected, because I think confidence, then the belief gets reinforced when you start putting in the work, right? Yeah. Like, you don't, and there, coaches that talk about this, like, you're not going to believe in yourself if you haven't been working, because some part of your brain is going to be like, I didn't really put in the work. Like, I don't even deserve, this guy probably just like has been running miles every morning to like get fit. Like, but then when you believe, you put in the work, it reinforces the belief, you're doing the actions. Like, it's this
exactly
self-fulfilling. So Tracey, how can people, we talked a lot, and gosh, this time has flown by. We talked a lot about how people can kind of work on themselves to improve their own mindsets. But what if they want to hack this thing and hire you?
Yeah.
How can people get in touch, and how do you work with people, and what resources do you have that are available?
Yeah. So what I love doing, let's start with like resources. It's always great to start there at the very bottom. Hop on my email list. I like to put out a private podcast. I try once a week. We're realistic entrepreneurs over here, so sometimes it's not quite that pace, but that's where I'll share really short sound bites between 7 and 10 minutes, diving into topics that I'm seeing and patterns that come up with my clients and kind of sharing them there more broadly, because if one of us is experiencing it, the other one probably is as well. So you can start there. That's the very first place. Instagram, I share so much. And I also do DM coaching every single month. So you can hop into DM coaching complimentary. So
means direct message. Okay. Gotcha.
In the DMs back and forth. Yep.
Okay.
Me and you for the entire day, back and forth in DMs with voice notes and text and all of that complimentary. So I do that for 3 entrepreneurs, usually once a month. So that's an opportunity. And then from there you can do, clarity call, where we start to dig in, like, are we the right fit? Is what I have to offer you what you're looking for? And so in that realm, I offer group coaching. And then I'm offering a mastermind coming up this fall. So it's launching in September and we're kicking off in November. We've got a retreat. We're going somewhere warm. It's going to be quite a cool experience for 7 months. And then you can also work with me one-on-one as well. But my one-on-one is currently waitlisted until 2026. So you can get on the email waitlist in order to see when a spot opens up.
I'm not surprised that you're in demand, Tracey. This is really it. So there's one more question that I ask of every single guest that, comes on the show. Hopefully I haven't already kind of asked this under a different sort of guise, but if you could give one piece of advice to everybody listening right now that would help them, and it doesn't even just have to be narrowly tethered to mindset, anything about anything, like to help them build their business and be as successful as possible, what would your piece of advice be?
Follow your intuition.
Explain.
Your intuition is your greatest compass in business. You are going to be drawn in and told so many things by so many people, but everybody has built their business uniquely their own way, and you're going to build yours uniquely your own way. So often we look for the outside to get all the answers, but the answers are actually within you. Most of the time, there is very little, like we said, yes, skills, strategy, things you can learn for sure. But a lot of the time, I personally have sold out group coaching programs without sending a single email. Well, that would be against the rules of the coaching industry. But again, we're not here to build a business that goes along with the rules of the industry. We're here to follow our own intuition. And you might be drawn to a specific strategy in your business that isn't what somebody else is doing in the wedding pros industry. Follow it, trust yourself there. We get so caught up in doing it the right way. There is no right way to do business. There's only your way.
I feel like you're 50 years older than you look, Tracey, but it's funny. There's you're making me think. I've mentioned this on a previous episode. I have just a little addendum here and then a quick follow-up question. But I remember I was reading 50 Cent, of all people, he wrote this book, and he's got this fascinating journey as somebody that was born into crime-infested surroundings, lost his mother at a young age, and went on to become successful, right? Again, people are complex. He's got his issues, faults, and all of that. But by any normative standards, the man has accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
And he was saying how his experience selling drugs taught him to listen to his instincts and intuition. He said in the streets, you have to have that intuition that's telling you this guy's dangerous. In the boardroom, the stakes they seem high, but they're much lower than when your life is on the line. And he's like, a large part of my success in business, in the non-criminal business world, is due to the fact that I learned in a way that people going through the standard educational system, where people like me, it's just what books are you reading? What class did you take? And what does this person say the right answer is? He's like, I had to learn to listen to what was in here. So I find that to be, I've always because I can fall into that trap of, because it's a blend, right? You do want to take advantage of knowledge that's out there and get coaching. You've said you're a coach.
Yeah.
And you've got coaching. Absolutely, you want that. So my question is, and Oprah talks about what you're saying too. She's like, listen, it's in there. Look for it. Be still and listen. sometimes I want to say like, but how, Oprah? Like how, like what's the how there? How do I know, Tracey, when it's my mind doing the like self-limiting chatter? Is that my intuition telling me what to do? How do I know when I'm listening to the right thing that you want me to listen to?
For me personally, how I see it differently is intuition is one solid answer. It's never changing. It's always just like this, same thing over and over again. Whereas fear, logic, the opposite, or ego sometimes, depending on the scenario, right? It's like movie credits. It's like, what if this, or what if that, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it's trying to protect you. So your intuition isn't trying to protect you. I don't feel like the way that your brain does, right? Your brain is very much like life or death, right? And so your intuition is that guiding force. It's again, inner tuition knowledge.
Yeah.
It's your inner knowledge, right? It's got the most, it is the compass for you full all the way through. But again, for me, it's one answer and it continues. It never changes. It never shifts.
Can you give me an example, Tracey, of like something like
that? Of course. I feel like my whole journey is based on my intuition. So I had a friend over years ago. I was a wedding photographer and I said, I have the month of May off from weddings. Like, what does a girl do when you have that? Because that never happens. And she said, you should take a road trip. Gut response, yes. Like, yes, I want to do that. And I was like, where should I go? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, I'm going to drive across Canada. And she was like, okay. And so I did it. And so that moment of driving across Canada, I realized I wanted to live in a new city called Kelowna, in the mountains, yada, yada. So then I started to shift my whole business, change everything to move there. I end up going there on vacation, start to book weddings there, and I met someone. That someone lived in a nearby city, Edmonton, where I now live. And so it's like the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Every little tiny intuitive decision that I've like followed through on has always provided me with so much more abundance and growth. And so leaving weddings, that was intuitive. It is not logically smart to leave behind 80% of your income when you do not have the brand photography clientele built up. But I did it anyways. Right. It is not smart of you to leave behind brand photography. And again, most of your income when you don't have the business built up to be a coach. But I did it anyways because that was so intuitive. I just knew that this was the path for me. And every time I followed that, it has provided tenfold. Even me trying to buy my house. I ended up trying to buy a house and they wouldn't let me put in a backup offer. And I said, okay, fine. I trust it, whatever. Found this house, came up on the realtor, websites. And I said, like, I feel like this is it. Moved in and my now husband lived behind me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like the surrender experiment, by the way.
Yeah.
You will dig it.
Yeah.
Like that's really like the ethos is, that's beautiful, Tracey. Really, really cool. Yeah. I'm going to have you back. I feel like we could do this for,
absolutely
as long as we did. But again, just for people that want to reach out and connect with you, Tracey, how can people get in touch?
I always say, come visit me on Instagram. I'm that person. Like if you saw me out at the grocery store and you didn't say hi, I will be offended. I'm very approachable and a personable person. So come find me on Instagram. My handle is Tracey, Tracey .Jazmin, Jazmin. Can thank my dad for giving me all of the letters that don't match up with the typical spellings.
Well, Tracey, on behalf of our Timeline Genius community and all of our Wedding Industry Insider podcast listeners, thank you for taking the time to do this and for sharing such transparent, awesome, and profound wisdom with us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was amazing.